Доброе утро. Добрый день. Так, вот здесь наши уважаемые зрители, которые ютуберы. Да. У нас здесь сейчас 4000 человек сидит, чтобы вы понимали. Да, на самом деле, я думаю, что это достаточно...
As a matter of fact, I think that this is quite a challenge to be seated almost in sub-zero temperatures on the rooftop. You must be brave people, so let's treat it as an interactive theater. Let's make it similar to all the challenges of the market when markets freeze, but we survive. I'm happy to know that the sun is shining brightly today. Now a couple of words on the, housekeeping rules. I can give you another cover. No. There are two panel discussions today dedicated to advertising market. The first is the agency panel for participants, including myself and representatives from different segments of the industry. Mr. Ishkov is a CEO, co-owner of BBDO, Ukraine. BBDO is a representative of international advertising business and networking agency. Since 28 in modern history. Otherwise, it's a long-established agency going back 112 years. And creative market in Ukraine was started with the advent of international network markets due to franchises open here. Expats came over international brands and noted that the influx of knowledge on marketing, on brand creation followed. So network agencies were standard setting. In Ukraine, the market learned about contact report, account management, presentation, after all, and so on. The role of theirs remains to be important. They keep working with major brands, international brands, and I would be happy to hear more from Victor. Victor Shkurba is from ESD. ISD. It's not Industrial Union of Donbass. How do you spell it out? It's a polyvariational company. Matter of fact, it is working on the brink of creative and technologies. It's not just graphic design, not just slogans, but robots. It's where concepts meet technologies. Exciting, isn't it? Yes, I can supplement by saying that we started as a digital creative agency. Now we are a group of companies comprising 4 units: creative, digital, social media, and market strategies. And that the 4th unit is an international innovational production. Kakaha, make no mistake about it, is the quality and charisma. We have a naming agency, so if you need a different name, call us anytime. Too late. That's for... and Alexander Kolb, a representative of a group of company concerned for we are one company and it's called Promodo, which is a digital agency specializing in performance. Its key clients, key accounts are e-commerce companies, which testifies to the breakthrough in the market, leading from old economies, erstwhile economies, to the new economy. I am from FEDORIV. We're a creative and investment company with two major lines of business. FEDORIV GROUP is investment branch of us. If I may, I would like to ask speakers to donate, some time for me to tell you about Darina Zholdak's endowment. We just completed research into the attitudes of Ukrainian adolescents to creativity, creative industries, and the findings are stunning. I would probably share some of those. Marichka Rantemenko, who is chair of the endowment, may probably help you, and I'll also going to tell you about a project they're launching this Saturday. Now, the questions I'd like to confront you with are related to this business season. Don't know about you, but business seasons tend to shift to later time in the year. That is to say, starting September, the tension number of projects, expectations with regard to the pace tend to grow. So let me start with the first question. How are you feeling today? What's your agenda and your segment and your market and your agents? And what are your expectations of this business season 21/22? Victor, so you want to talk more about the business of the agencies we manage? Yes, an agency would probably be a good mirror in which the situation is reflected. So let me start by commenting your earlier statement with regard to greater prominence of business seasons. I would dare disagree. Last year, 2020, and this summer, 2021, were fairly hot. We started two launches, major launches. One with a bank, and the other is phygital project, physical digital delivery service, and we started both projects this summer. I'm not even talking about some of the earlier projects started this year, so there is no low season in our experience. With regard to the overall situation, the 2021 is likely to be a record-breaking in terms of revenues generated. There are about 50 people working for their agency. They're doing strategy, brand identics, and creative solutions for businesses. And this number hasn't changed significantly over these years. Everything is going pretty smoothly. Last year, we did have a period during which we didn't grow because of the pandemics. This year we have shown some growth. If you look back into the history, some people believe that network agencies are too big and cumbersome, awkward, but in fact, 90% of businesses we manage are local businesses and they have local owners. That is to say, we are not talking about businesses imported from another jurisdiction. Those other network agencies, what's so unique about them? I disagree with those who make this breakdown. I believe that there are companies who are just cool, and then there are those who are lagging behind. That's it. Who they are owned by internationals or locals is non-issue. Creative businesses are very personal. They are linked too closely to those who lead it. A person, a team, a board, like which is the case with us. I'm not saying that I am the top dog in this agency. Well, he is a party man. In 2020, I was away from Ukraine. That notwithstanding, the agency was performing very good. It grew. Could we get some extra bed covers to other speakers? Otherwise, we'll all be witnessing the slow freezing down of the speakers. So I do not think that there are companies, network, local, who possess some sacral knowledge. A lot depends on the vigor, energy, giftedness of the persons, on the corporate culture, not their affiliation with an international global network. Or in your business, I'm sure you could say you are still using your legacy from working with the global, for the global companies. So basic things that you've found in yourself were defined by that earlier experience of yours. Good. Agreed. Can I parry? No. I'll concerning BBDO. This is my business, partially because I'm a co-owner. That said, we were sure that September would be quite hot when we started back in June, but it's Indian summer, and there's a good term, divine discontent. You know, the feeling you get when you've done everything, but you're still discontent. There are things that will be subject to ongoing transformation. And that's exactly things upon which culture hinges upon, and it can be local or network. Okay, let me parry now. I agree with what you said, that network agency lost part of their sacral nature. When I joined one in 1997 and quit in 2003, This was the time when they had this unique knowledge. The entire market was working through discounts or rewards and envelopes, and there was no infrastructure whatsoever. And too many things. If I were to start this reunion of old schoolers when Kyivstar was commissioning their typographer in Poland or in St. Petersburg because there was no one to pick up the job in Kiev. And you had to bring your cameras from abroad to be able to shoot your promos, and the customs were very aggressive. Now the situation has changed radically. In 2001, when I was addressing an audience at the advertising event, 90% of the audience, for 90% of the audience, my words were sort of eye-openers. But the time is the time of coherent teams with their in-house culture. Plus, the methodologies of today are very different from the ones utilized by network agencies back at the time I was part of the scene. And you should also understand that this is the matter of technology platforms, interaction between them, some things that pertain to specific tools like internet relations with the developers are very, very specific. When you say developers, you mean software developers? Yes, I do. Not the construction industry guys. Okay, what's your biggest ambition for this incoming season? I don't use seasons as a yardstick. I stick to years. Well, it's been a long time that you were not part of global companies. The technological component is just fine, but could you expand on that? The audience might be interested. I'll be quite metaphorical. Financial planning. I think that the technology of financial planning is super important. In October, well, come October, I know what my next year gonna look like. Next July, we're gonna be. No, I'm just teasing you. No, I know for sure what clients are gonna have, how much will be in the red, where are gonna get to magic. No, I don't know. There's a lot of uncertain things in the business. 25 to 30%, if you ask me. Any company should be managed as Boeing aircraft. 30-40 dials showing your business's health, starting from revenue to profit ratio, ending and the number of personnel or how much you can spend on your payroll.
Нет, подожди, мы придем к бухучет и перейдем к технологичности какой-то, да, то есть более как бы соответствующей этому слову. Я говорю о том, что технологичность тоже это вопрос измеряемости, правильно? Да. Ну, в первую очередь, контролируемости и измеряемости. Вот. И к тому, что ты выразил это как антитезис, я тебе просто начинаю говорить о том, что с финансовой части, о том, что нету такого, что вот локальные компании технологичны, а глобальные нет. Это не так.
Смотри, я продолжу. Я, наверное, все-таки не донес мысль. Да? Те технологии, о которых ты говоришь, о том, что локальные компании там бардак, а у вас порядок, да?
Нет, я так не говорю.
Ну, то есть, если я говорю о наличии, условно говоря, финансового учета или анализа каких-то бенчмарков, то я не хочу, чтобы мы тут занимались тоже там писькомерством, да? У нас все идеально учтено там с первого дня, и у нас горизонт планирования 3 года, да? Но я говорил вообще про другие технологии, да? Я говорил про использование специфических технологий, связанных с взаимодействием с клиентом или связанных с разработкой продуктов для клиентов или реализацией каких-то проектов для клиентов. Потому что если я сравниваю то, как и с чем мы работаем сейчас, по сравнению с тем, например, какими были стандарты, или то, с чем я сталкиваюсь сейчас, когда мы обсуждаем какие-то альтернативы на рынке, то многие вещи, они строятся действительно на, я использую такой грубый термин, голом таланте. Да? Когда есть человек, есть его субъективная мысль, есть его возможность создать какой-то концепт и так далее. Мне кажется, что современный мир, современный маркетинг рекламы, он уже скоро станет очень нетерпим вот такому голому креативу, да, то есть с точки зрения того, что просто талантливого человека в хорошем офисе будет недостаточно. И мы это по себе видим, по себе чувствуем, да, что тот объем данных, которые ты можешь получать в реальном времени, да, те АБЦ-тесты каких-то гипотез, которые могут происходить, та скорость, с которой работает e-commerce, которая на порядок опережает традиционные корпорации, они заставляют компании точно так же меняться. Поэтому я передам слово Виктору Шкурбе и хотел задать те же самые вопросы. Чем ваши компании живут сейчас? Какие ваши ожидания на этот следующий год? Какие сейчас самые главные для тебя проблемы? Как вы их решаете?
А можно я начну с того, что скажу спасибо локдауну, спасибо коронакризе, потому что в действительности для меня лично, как основателя, как главного идейного вдохновителя компании, она дала 2 вещи. Первое, она дала возможность отдохнуть, и второе — сфокусироваться. Если говорить про отдохнуть, то ни для кого не секрет, что наш фокус, мой личный фокус был на международные рынки. Мы очень много работали там с Великобританией, Германией, Голландией, и моя жизнь перед локдауном — это было 2/3 времени в самолетах, гостиницах, и это было уже как бы невозможно. Я за 3 месяца жене говорю, вот если бы что-то произошло в этом мире, чтобы можно было сидеть...
Мы его нашли, вот он виноват во всем.
Но это не шутка, это не шутка, абсолютно честно. Ну, то есть я не знал, как это возможно, но я говорил, что если бы можно было работать, но просто чтобы тебе не надо было летать в командировки и постоянно встречаться. И вот такая появилась возможность. Я не сразу понял, правда, что это все как-то связано и нужно аккуратнее быть с мыслями. Вот, и дала возможность побыть с детьми, подумать, переосмыслить многие вещи. И второй момент — это сфокусироваться. То есть закрылись возможности путешествовать, закрылись возможности, которые были до этого, и сразу стало понятнее, где может быть ближайший фокус. Да? И мы в действительности весь последний год занимались тем, что мы переосмысливали.
Убежал. Нет, так нет.
Мы ждем его, как бы.
Он слышит нас, он слышит.
Я все слышу, все нормально.
Some chat promo team has escaped. He can't hear us yet. Actually, what we did was focusing and transforming the world around us. Since there was an understanding that setting up of some fantastic international projects, but the life we live is absolutely different, absolutely different thoughts, processes, where we worked belong to one dimension, then technologies and other processes belong to another dimension, and everything looked like a step-by-step development. And by pushing one project, we managed to shift to another tire, and we managed to bring into life a few projects, and we received a shared idea that implied to be yourself here and now, and that was indeed crucial to hear some of the speakers say that Marcus Sawyer or some other name that was a grandfather, key leader of the global philosophers. He was a founder of a big communication holding WPP that owned a big number of marketing budgets globally. And when he turned 72, he had to leave his individual company, the company that he set up, and then he decided to set up another firm, R4 Capital, and he said that he had only 5 years for him, and it's not interesting for him to play. He says that his task was to realize how far and how fast he could move, and his ultimate mandate, the way he set it, being governed by his inner eye, conscientiousness also, was to find an approach to set up an advertising agency, and everyone else, in contrast to him, appeared to be nearly dead. And he eventually set up a firm, but primarily he bought Media Monks. That was an acquisition for $20 million, and he took 2 years to reach $2 billion in capitalization, and he outwon lots of clients. I need to refer to this case study since while I met Soros in Ukraine, and then I was working for WPP, this leader was indeed a role model for me, and a startup of 72 years of age never acquired successless businesses. He started acquiring promising businesses. That's exactly what I wanted to mention. His only advice was to think over what growth meant. And in the period of startups, asymmetric economy where there is an opportunity to become a multi-million company having 15 IT developers on board, and when you analyze the growth of such a leader, the way he does it can serve as an example for the leaders. What he does is setting up or making some creative content, and later, after these endeavors, he bought another successful initiative, analytic IPD company. He said that there will be no Lebanet or rather identical counterparts, and he insisted that there is a need in a blend of creative initiatives, and there is a need to turn all that into some creative new using the past. And today when I sit and open newspapers, I can track how they buy one company monthly, and this is quite precise track of success, and media analytics proves that they have all the prerequisite for the advertising industry in 3-5 years as a growing segment. For me, it was never interesting to make an outlook for 1 year. For me, what was interesting for me was a 5 or 10 year forecast, and the pace of changes today is indeed extremely fast. And in the future, I believe that blend of expertise in Ukraine and Promodo jointly with BBDO can turn into a leading advertising agency, and we ourselves do the same, and the expertise that we gained through a variety of our directions helps us to see how this multidimensional play helps us to create some unique user experience, how all that transforms into new commodities and some sort of collaboration. When I mentioned focus, I meant myself sort of discovery that I made last year. That was a focus of our effort, of my personal effort, where we focused on the development of our personal track record in Ukraine. For the ambitions for upcoming year, I would like to say that my ambitions will go over the bounds of Ukraine. Why to go beyond Ukraine? The Ukraine market is too narrow. But BBDO grows. 40, 50 people stay on board, and what is an outlook? 100, 320 for the past 2 years. What was your success record? We doubled our result. We started with 220 people, and our goal now is to reach 400 employees on the staff. And we ourselves stick to the same philosophy. And we decided to keep 30 people. Internally, we have some sort of rotation. We keep up financial growth, but in our staff, we do not grow. And we can feel how tangible this model is. And please share your growth rate for 2 years. I can comment on the marketplace. For the company, I cannot say that much. There is KPI performance indices, and when you have quite a lot of work to do, then it's reasonable. Well, for the number of people, it doesn't change absolutely. What about your company? I would like to answer your question regarding seeing out of the box and going beyond the Ukraine market. Our annual growth pace makes 30-50%, and before the lockdown, we had the contract signed, which produced 200-300 rise. In upcoming 2 3 years, these are the prospects which will be opened for us, and that will be indeed feasible when you penetrate new markets. And speaking about growth rate, 10% growth rate is our mandate. Speaking about singularity of success stories or supercomputers, nobody knows what will go afterwards in, let's say, upcoming months. I can grow by 5 or 10%, and for 10 years, I have been doing the same business, and our growth pace makes 30-50%, and what we want is to monetize our gains. And what's indeed interesting is that we talked to Sorrel team, and they were surprised to hear that the company, aged 17 years, proves that the digital world has changed dramatically, and 95% of the companies which dated back to the first days of digital world, they were closed. And what's interesting about the global market is that we need more novelties. For our company, we spent 2 years where we had a bottleneck in international business, and you know it yourself, which was personal communication. Nobody will trust your project for 1.5 billion pounds unless they see you personally. When there is some personal meeting, and there is an array of negotiations and meetings per month in each of these countries, which appear to be stakeholders in this dialogue, will be chaotic. And today we ponder over how to hack all these steps and story eventually, since the world has digitalized itself, and today we entertain new approaches of how to handle international communication without going abroad. Alex, what about you? All's fine on our side, and one it asked me to single out unique features about our companies, that we do not focus on some standalone companies. The companies which we acquired were indeed successful, and throughout 6 months, last 6 months, we had a growth of 50%, and you were right saying that we are working with a marketing segment that is oriented at sales, selling, mergers, acquisitions. We are after doing it all to sell, and everything was started with May, where we marked, another stage of growth, and our state helped us to recall that even in February and March we were yet on a par, and later we were also growing. The main problem for us is people, since when we analyze what happened behind us, is a customer relations. Before there were no problem in helping our employees grow, and today when we employ, there is far not that level of understanding between a client who is coming to your office and an office employee. When a person who understands how to connect 3-6 connections, that's an asset, and this contacts that we have on the firm, that's all focused around HR. That's about training. Then that's also about taking clothes and cleaning your forehead since you're sweating.
Это бодаться с BBDO, потому что сегодня, наверное, только ленивое агентство не говорит, что они специалисты в перформансе.
Смотрите, мне кажется, что как-то мир несправедлив по отношению к BBDO.
Ладно, давай с тобой. Давайте мы будем бодаться с Федоровым. Бодаться с Федоровым, потому что сейчас у всех агентств есть какой-то свой перформанс-подразделение. Мы часто встречаемся в тендерах там, с iProspect, с Publicis и с другими агентствами. Вот. Пока что у нас получается с ними бороться, но мы не стоим на месте, и мы идем в ихнюю сторону. Поэтому мы уже делаем стратегии, у нас достаточно хороший департамент, но это не стратегии в широком понимании глобального агентства. То есть мы формируем стратегии выхода в онлайн, стратегии продаж. У нас все еще, так скажем так, есть чем поработать с креативом. У нас достаточно большой отдел, который работает с социальными сетями. Мы прикупили компанию продакшена, и в этом направлении тоже движемся. И, собственно, наша амбиция, наверное, стать... контент, по сути, весь контент, который мы делаем, это контент, который делается внутри Promodo, нашими фотографиями, нашим видеопродакшеном и так далее. Поэтому наши амбиции все-таки не упираться только в перформанс, это уходить в экспертизу со стратегиями, уходить в экспертизу с медиа, с телеком. И так далее. Поэтому мы поставили себе за амбициозную такую цель стать структурой, Promodo должно стать структурой сетевого агентства.
Может, проще купить просто какое-то агентство?
Мы купили одно агентство. Это агентство связано с видеопродакшеном. У нас идут еще переговоры, но не знаю. То есть это палка о двух концах. Мне все-таки кажется, что с нашими тараканами проще это создать внутри, но, возможно, это тоже хорошая мысль. Поэтому мы открыты к общению.
Я от себя добавлю чуть-чуть по поводу того, какая у нас адженда. И мне кажется, что тоже там одна важная мысль по поводу того, какой смысл мы вообще вкладываем в понятие креатив и креативность. Да? Вот, когда мы обсуждали даже с организаторами форума, что вот, пожалуйста, пригласите креативные агентства, да? Что это интересно. Мне кажется, что слово креатив, вот мы его как трактуем? Это умение создавать новое, уникальное, работающее в условиях высокой конкуренции и непредсказуемости. То есть креатив мы не трактуем только как графический дизайн, копирайтинг, арт-директор и вот те вещи, которые относились к понятию креатив 20 лет назад. На сию секунду мне кажется, что все, кто сидит на этой сцене и то, с чем к нам приходят клиенты, фактически работают в сегменте решения проблем. Нетривиальным способом, да, потому что к нам, как правило, приходят клиенты, когда они свою проблему и потребность роста не могут решить внутри самостоятельно и не могут решить с помощью базовых инструментов, которые доступны всем и каждому. Когда они упираются, ну вот я вчера встречался с клиентом, у них там 100 магазинов, говорит, мы уперлись в стеклянный потолок. И он говорит такой прекрасный образ, мне очень понравился. Он говорит, у нас никогда не было маркетологов, но мы всегда очень симпатизировали маркетологам. Поэтому мы отцахи, говорит, мы первый магазин делали руками, сами в нем работали продавцами, перестраивали, переставляли там, в общем-то, товары и так далее. Сейчас у нас 100 магазинов, хотим 500. И вот мы работали всегда с маркетологами, и они нам так нравились. Они, говорят, такие симпатичные, такие творческие, так отличались от нас. И мы решили, что нам нужно их слушать. И мы, говорит, мы внедряли вот все, что они говорили. И знаете, нам так обидно, ни хрена не сработало. Вот все, что мы внедряли, вот ничего не сработало. Вот такая вот история. Но вот мы пришли, может быть, все-таки вы нам как-то поможете. Да? То есть, и я думаю, что сейчас действительно вот этого бизнеса сакральных оракулов, да, когда мы обладаем тайным знанием, вы к нам придете, и мы вам сотворим какое-то креативно-маркетинговое чудо. Я думаю, что сейчас все очень изменилось, рынок полностью прозрачный, и история про то, кто чуть-чуть лучше создает гипотезы, которые чуть-чуть чаще работают, чуть-чуть быстрее их внедряют, и они действительно приносят результаты. Поэтому в креатив попадает там больше 10 индустрий. Первая, самая большая из них, наверное, диджитал, поэтому мы, например, в Fedoriv, смотря по сторонам, восхищаемся успехом как раз Promodo, успехом NetPeak, успехом, например, группы Genesis. Я не знаю, там все... Ну вот поднимите руки, кто знает про компанию Genesis? Супер, ну вот половина. Но половина не знает, что вот здесь на Подоле сидит компания, которая владеет примерно там половиной цифрового рынка Африки. Да, то есть которые создали там и службы такси, и службы знакомств, и, по-моему, уже финтех стартапы, и еще кучу других проектов в других странах мира, не выходя из офиса. Да? И вот я гулял у них по офису, то, что меня тогда сильно восхищало, это то, что над почти каждой группкой рабочих столов висят плазмы, и на плазмах дэшборды. Что такое дэшборд? Это доска приборов, да, где показываются результаты в эту секунду. Да? И мне кажется, что то, что очень сильно изменилось, и я себе задаю вопрос, например, достаточно ли наш бизнес меняется. Бизнес и бренды живут в реальном времени. Очень редко есть ситуация, когда у тебя есть год на то, чтобы подумать, потом запустить, потом год пройдет, и тебе через год скажут, что-то сработало, не сработало. Да? Вот это вот требование.
So this time pressure is immense. That's why we go into product creation, joint shared product creation. Last year, a big agrarian agribusiness and financial company came to us saying that the market, as the market was opening, would need a platform like Rosetka where you can sell agrarian lands, and we're ready to put this hypothesis to trial. Fedoriv, in this case, goes to Chernihiv, to a village, to the local notary, to the farmers, and create a product hypothesis, UX, prototyping on those black and white pages. We test it, do a technology brief, and in parallel, we make up a name, do some promos, but the platform is on. It's called Dobrozem. It is used to trade parcels, and this is part of a creative agency's job, which is quite different from what you used to do 10 years ago when we shunned things like that, or today when we say that one of our clients is Uzbekistan's major retailer, and we are now thinking of how we move people from open markets, and in Uzbekistan the share is 80-90%. 80% of what people buy, they buy in open and farmers markets. We are now thinking to moving it towards closed type outlets or investment business. Investment line of business is just a tool for innovation to say that our office is gonna look like better if we paint this wall in a creative manner. This creative manner gives me jitters. Promodo built what? This gigantic 2,000 plus 1,000 square meters coming soon. Creative companies means not just creating something for themselves. I am quite watchful of other people do outside of strictly creativity. What are you doing in your companies now that you would never think doing 3 years ago, and what you think you'll be doing 3 years from now? Okay, let's start from BBDO. Oh no, let's take the other way around. Let's start from Promodo, from Kharkiv-based business. Okay, what are we doing? You say, I already mentioned we launched a major transformation of the company. Our business planning has a 4-year horizon. Well, I'll make a guess of what you're gonna do in 4 years from now. Anyone doing 12-year planning horizon? No. 10 years. Well, we have come amongst our clients, and once we know that given our ambition, Ukraine's market was too small, 9 of 10 sites are our clients. We don't work with Epicenter, and there are reasons for why we don't do that. So we started this Promodo 360 degrees. So the biggest task for us is how to make things stick together, because clients would have to go to different agencies, performance, creative, digital. No, we want them to come to us and follow the groove. A group, Promodo group, it feels... No, I support. This is another issue, how we name it. It's not that important how we name it, how we style it. You may say it is, but for us it is more important how we make pieces stick together. Sales, customer success, what competencies we may be missing, what roles are lacking, and what projects are priority for us to implement. That's our headache. We have the general vision, but when you probe down to the details, we hear specific questions being asked. What am I doing here? And that's exactly what we're doing. Detailing, discounting, review of the strategy, because we are aware that different clients may arrive, differently valued clients, and what's going to be on top. Managing structure. We have a board of directors, by the way. We started it last year, a very exciting experience. And R&D, should it be part of performance or part of the entire group? Well, typical for a growing company, things typical for a growing company. To support what you said, let me share one other story. You may have heard of US's creative agency #1, Droga 5. Droga, the famous creative director who has massive experience, and then he set up his own agency, Droga 5. He was from a large family, and the wife never knew what clothing their kids should wear. So they used labels, and he was Droga 5. That's exactly why he called his agency Droga 5. He won, well, in excess of 140 lions from Cannes. And then he, well, sold it. They became part of Accenture, which is a consultancy with a very interesting story. You may remember Arthur Anderson that once approved Exxon audit. Exxon, was it Exxon? Anyone? Epson. Okay, doesn't matter. They falsified auditing, and the court ordered that Arthur Anderson be divided into two. The auditing part perished. So they established Accenture, and this is a blend of business consultancy and IT, and they acquired Droga 5 2 years ago at the most recent Cannes Fest. David Droga and a representative of Accenture made a presentation. David Droga looked a happy man talking to the audience. Questions were asked why he decided to do that, and he said something that I keep in my memory. He said that they didn't want to be designers of incredible interior in a falling in a crumbling house. To interpret the metaphor he used, if a creative industry in its classical definition is increasingly more a thing of the past, there is no need to be world's best designers. And he also said that he would sympathize with someone who would be thinking of setting up a classic creative agency. Why Accenture, he was asked. He said in reply, we work in the business of light, we in the business of pyrotechnics, and they in the business of beacon and lighthouses. That is to say, I see that the technologies provide sustainability. Now, what we have heeded during this quarantine, brandless companies were very poor. They now we see that a good creativity component increases performance. To screw things up, you need to have all your hands left. Our digital communication is a department of digital communications. Currently, we see that brands that are good at communicating their agenda and social networks have much better performance indicators. So when people ask us what we do because we don't grow or we want to grow faster, twice as fast as we did, we often come to understanding that they should build their brand, they create media communications, go TV. This has become very prominent during the pandemics, and why we decided to move there, because, well, to support what you said, what you can sell isn't art. Creativity without performance is needed by no one any longer. If you look at Google Art, analyzing which indicators affect the performance of advertising campaign. They show technical background of experts, Google's own tools, and 25% goes to creativity. And there's also a story of egg and hen, you know. In our business, this is a story of Jing and Jen, brand image and brand performance. Neither can work without the other. Performance, well, can get you started today and put you on the air, but to make search engines love you, well, you should take some time. You have to be able to balance and integrate. If you're gonna sell this cup on Rosetka and create an internet shop, Rosetka will just destroy you many times over, because they have a brand and their indicator is going to be different. We heard about Rosetka's brand, 3 years since rebranding, and I've been working with them for 15 years. You seem to have started an interesting discussion on the mix of technology and creativity. I work for a global company and have an understanding of how it goes there. Yeah, just a little bit of understanding. I've got 4 kids to tend to. You seem to be contrasting creativity and technology. You say that all those stories are outdated and obsolescent. Currently, there is not a single communication holding in the world without a technology platform. IPP, Havas Group, they have closed all the gaps there. They, of course, grow. They are far from perfection. Publicis has Marseille that they started doing 5 years ago, and that's exactly when they stopped participating in all the fests. The CEO told them that the money spent for those vests would be needed to create a technology platform. We did that in 2008. No. WPP did the same, Unicom. We don't need so many creative agencies. What was good for the early 2000s is gone. They were created by entrepreneurs of the 90s. They were all local agencies, then acquired by some else. Now we see the comeback of the early 2000s when creative and media agencies were one. organic planning was not possible if one was without the other. Today, there's so much multiplicity that there is a growing need for mergers. Media agencies would take their money, creative agencies would go for theirs, and there existed different P&Ls within one agency, and this all led to a crisis when the creative agency lacked data and was not in a position to plan without the real figures. So one is impossible without the other. Any company, let me submit, and the global. India's Omnicom has 500 personnel who've been since 2015 leading IONACT, the platform that helps manage audiences and digital channels. There's a lot of I saw these cases when I was in Harvard. We don't use them, and I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about us, the BBDO. Well, go to BBDO. This is a bright, modern-day creative agency, but as of today, we still face a problem. You can't merge digital and TV panels. No agency will tell you how you cross-cut. Are we gonna waste our money to increasing contact frequency? How do we measure that? So that's an issue which has no solution as yet. Like I say, technologies and creative solutions gonna merge. In 3 years, what are gonna do then? This was the question, wasn't there? Oh, just tell me which side of the river you're gonna be. It's part of the show. No, I'm just curious what types of services or products you're gonna offer your clients that you don't offer today. Creative. We have a local partner, one of the biggest Ukraine's media and digital agencies in Austria, and we share the same office, and we integrate media and digital in order to have more figures for planning purposes and expert and creative expertise from our side. That is to say, we are bringing two poles closer. Maybe 3 years from now, we'll have one entire creative and technology product.
Victor, I would like to start saying that I'm not like you all. You know, we have some similarity. You wear glasses as well as I do. You have a sort of managerial role, and I'm a developer, a designer. I'm a journalist, I'm a mathematician. Wow! Then, if we speak about focus, we speak about focus as well.
Чтобы понять все.
My current focus, while understanding all our panels, like building blocks and structures, is to find an approach to structurizing. For that, I would like to say that I know what you mean. Well, I myself know what I mean, when we started developing our business abroad and when we supported that way economy of scale without some extra effort, but while concentrating on one and the same idea solely, that will not help a lot. For the most recent 2-3 years, user experience, hypothesis, we're busy doing all that for the most recent time, and for us an achievement is that we need to focus on a commodity story. All of our time we're busy doing some products, and that's what our agency, advertising agency, does. And why do you tell us about this now? You know, we produce commodities, some systems, and only Andriy Fedoriv is aware of that, but nobody else. If we touch upon our success story for the most recent 3 years in the digital world. These are the organizations which provide support to startups, and then they share the best practices with others. For us, we were busy doing some things which, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago or 4 years ago transformed into TikTok or some other platform, and we ourselves could only be surprising that we managed to close such projects 10 years ago. That was our idea, but copyright is essential for that, and the ideas that we bring in to this market, they are crucial, and we are after developing. What we need is an IT department where we'll have engineers, since everything around us and technologies, above all, have become parts of all the processes and all other spheres that makes it easy. For instance, for YD Kennedy and their advertising agency, then research from some space academy, and their projects or surveys for track record or to trace meteorites. It's also a basic need to train our engineers today, and I do hope that we will have the possibility to allocate equity, and there is a hope that there will be fun not only a team of engineers but also others. When you speak about fun on this steps but other products, what is worth it to mention? Planeta Hold, Planeta Step, Planet Step, that was translated that way. It will take us 2-3 months to close out the project. Speaking about the projects which will be digitalized and capitalized, yes, you're right. That's where we had social karaoke, and our fourth idea was to originate TikTok, and we had it in Germany in 2013. Russia, where we had the hub, and then 2014, where everything, was closed. No, let's revert to TikTok. Does anyone want to say anything as a goodbye note? Thanks, everyone, that you were with us in such cold weather. It's a sort of betrayal to have such events in such a cold. And as a finishing line, I would like to add a few comments from Mr. Taylor. One person or one company, integration is a value. Integration is having united three components. Primarily, this is about business mindset, business component, ability to calculate business model and cost estimate. The second is emotional, intellect, and possibility to work with feelings and senses, empathy and arts, what human beings feel, and art, human, social, parts of creative industries. And the third component is track, software, hardware. And for that, all the bones, they're all conventional. For that, I would like to wish you maximum integration and maximum effective solutions. Thank you very much for such an excellent panel. Sorry, please accept our apologies that it's not too hot. We will start our debate on the foundation in 15 minutes strict. We will go downstairs.
Я вижу, что мы эффективно выморозили около 70% аудитории, которая в зале. У нас, я напомню для спикера, чтобы вы не волновались, у нас 2 трансляции. У нас трансляция международная на языке оригинала и с переводом на английский язык в YouTube. И кроме того, мы делаем специальный выпуск FEDORIV GROUP, поэтому на самом деле в этой скромной холодной аудитории сидят десятки тысяч человек. Да? Это чудо называется телевидение, и я думаю, что вы про него можете мне рассказать больше, чем я вам. Наша вторая часть нашей дискуссии по поводу того, чем живет рынок сейчас и куда он идет, она, собственно, посвящена не креативу и не моменту создания чего-то, а моменту медиа. Потому что все равно с точки зрения влияния на поведение потребителя и с точки зрения доли в бюджетах, медиаканалы являются все равно основной частью любого маркетингового бюджета. Поэтому я с удовольствием представляю. Я все-таки начну с дам, чтобы не нарушать гендерное неравенство, да?
Нарушено, я одна.
Почему?
Да,
Давайте
пожалуйста.
наоборот.
Пожалуйста, Лера Толочина, которая является маркетинг-директором компании Megogo. Я не ошибся в должности, правильно все формулирую?
Все верно. Нужно еще добавлять во всем мире.
Worldwide, как говорят у нас на Киевщине. Валерий Вареница является руководителем направления продаж группы 1+1. Все верно? Сергей Кирий является директором по продаже компании Megapolis, которая является абсолютным лидером рынка наружной рекламы, рекламы на транспорте, в аэропортах, видеоэкранах и, наверное, еще в каких-то маленьких секретных жанрах. То, о чем мы сегодня будем говорить, о том, чем живет рынок в этом бизнес-сезоне 2021-2022 год, то есть фактически то, что волнует ваши компании сейчас, что вы делаете сейчас такого, чего не делали дальше, и поговорим по поводу глобальных трендов, куда, собственно, этот рынок развивается. Давайте, Валерий, начнем с вас. Хотел спросить, чем живете вы прямо сейчас? Да? То есть, скажем так, какие вопросы с точки зрения классического телевидения, не классического телевидения сейчас волнуют клиентов, волнуют вас? Какая у вас повестка дня в этом сентябре?
Ну, буквально 5 минут назад мы закончили правление группы, где рассматривали стратегию следующих 3 лет и принимали решение бороться нам вот с такими явлениями, как OTT-сервисы, или искать с ними какие-то общие там пути развития. Вот. Пока что мнение разделилось, учитывая, что группа 1+1 медиа, она не только линейная ТВ, но тоже есть сервисы по дистрибуции. Тот же Kyivstar ТВ, все вяжут с Kyivstar, но на самом деле это 1+1 медиа. И Viasat. Поэтому тут пока решили сильно не ссориться. Но на самом деле, там, конечно, шучу по поводу ссор, не ссор. Нужно понимать, что ТВ, в отличие от медиа, которых там диджитал жестко подмял, имею в виду печатные средства массовой информации, косвенно радио, наружку, оно как-то раньше всех начало смотреть в сторону диджитализации. Обратите внимание, выговорил с первого раза, в отличие от мэра. Он так сложно выговорил это слово. И по факту мы еще 5-6 лет назад увидели свою возможность развития как раз в этом новом, в то время для нас, направлении. Мы понимали, что благодаря диджитализации, благодаря OTT-сервисам мы отрываемся...
Можно чуть позже экран вывести.
Да, мы отрываемся от домашнего потребления.
Big Brother is watching you.
This is another representative of Megapolis. Welcome, but you'll get the floor in a while. Before that, linear TV was for domestic consumption, you know. Morning or nighttime. Now, with the advent of new technologies, non-linear TV, us as content owners have received, so to speak, access to all the time of any viewer. We can be viewed on your gadget, on a smartphone, when you are commuting. So TV is not, so to speak, so much affected by the development of other market players. We see it, we view it as something very much promising. Netflix started to sell access to digital content, and in US market you see cross-media companies, TV like Disney Plus, Paramount started their platform, Hulu, which emerged as a product of joint effort of 3 large TV groups. So TV is alive and kicking and will be just fine in this coming decade, because we jumped on the wagon in time, and we see no risks that someone will push it out of that boat, of that wagon. Oh, it is a challenge to take the floor after Valeria, because she is very good at making emphasis. Now, I'll try. How are we different, the Megago different from global giants? We discerned the promises, prospects in expanding the content. TV channels are very important for us, and we see no room for competition with TV channels. We are their partners. Time shift reminders, quality of transmission. We help TV channels grow their audience. If you are 24/7 available, you take every possible measure to have good content. We are based on TV quality product, on VOD. What is VOD? Video on demand. That's when you can pick up what you want to see from the library. Over 22,000 units of content in different languages. You can select Ukrainian, Russian, Lithuanian. There is a language filter you can enable. We are also looking variously at sports, because it's an important part of content, and Megago is a trailblazer in a sort of way. We acquired exclusive rights to champion leagues, and our international partners were shocked. We showed all games in the first round. No single TV channels could beat us there. Millions will be watching, and there are smaller audience that want to pick their content. We have been actively developing the audio. We created the Best Podcaster award, and then pay great attention to kids product. You just enable parents controller, and kids would be watching what is approved by the parents. So let's be friends, Valeria, and then we will promote all your shows. My beloved Ugly, well, Some people keep calling, yeah, but don't make friends against everyone else. We almost had a fight during the first panel trying to show who's is better than us. If I could take that a little bit further, the sports. Classical TV, line TV has three pillars: news, big shows, big events, and sports. Linear TV having the biggest chunk of ad money in any market. Used to think that big sports is in linear TV forever, but more recently we could see that Champions Leagues is favorite of any TV group, and every 3 years all TV groups competed for this type of content. So now that sports is available on this platform, our viewers have a greater choice. We are limited in time. If there are, we can't have 20 channels going in parallel. We have 6 channels. We could and we have pop-up channels. 20, let's have 20, 25, no problem. Sergey, someone said here that digital grew the outside. Do you agree? And what's going on? Well, everybody estimate the scope, because you can target 2 segments, 3 segments, and there is a tail with 25 million, with a million, 70% of advertisers target 20 million. That's the minimum they would put up with. Lera worked at MTI Intertop, and they must have probably targeting 10 million, thinking of another 10 million using Braska as a. So there is a market commensurate with. Well, look. If we compare to the neighbors, the Czech Republic, is it a wealthy nation as compared to us, wealthier than us? Do you know that there is not a single TV Czech channel that broadcasts local news? They've no budget. A wealthy nation, their TV, which is a business, cannot afford funding local news. They transmit Deutsche Welle, Infosat, and may I ask you a question regarding news content? Oh, and one other thing. What TV is in the light of, because you mentioned the creativity session, the previous panel, there's a secret I'd like to break. 2 months ago, we did a research as to how people perceive advertising, digital TV, outdoor. 121 households were picked, equipped, and we would ask additional question whenever appropriate. 30% of the respondents who could describe what they saw could not place the brand on the name. The creative guys have gone so far that people could not recall the brand advertised. 4 largest ice cream makers, Krishchatik with Kamensky, Didzo, Krishchatik. Oh, I'm sorry, Kashtan, Lasunka with Ola Polyakova. So you can Polyakova ice cream, Didzo ice cream. What brand was it? Not a single person could give the name. Well, we wanted to be like all other celebrities. I am now watching the micro loan market and then think that if we decided to measure it now, can't recall the names, it's probably the coronavirus effects. So we see celebrities who advertise microloans, and then people cannot. Aha, interesting. This stone flies into the garden of the previous panel discussion. As soon as it is matched, this will bring a major breakthrough for the digital because they don't verify. They are non-standard in any market. TV data, because you know you would have some metrics commissioned. Every party understands the TV data is a standard, whether you like it or not, but it's a standard, and the standard accepted by all parties. As I would always say that a meter is not a meter, it's 95 centimeters. I haven't been able to sleep tight because I've always been sure that no meter contains 100 centimeters. In Paris, I could see the benchmark, the athlon. So when we say standard synchronization, we should understand who will define the accuracy of our standard. As soon as digital is matched, they've been trying their hard to match us, showing examples of Germany, US, Nordic countries where they try to match data. We would tell them, look, show us some research. Google doesn't model 70% on the 30% of data they receive, and this is not the Ukrainian position. U.S. position is exactly the same. You have that black box, guys, that says it's true, and who gonna verify, who will confirm? That's about data matching versus non-matching. There is no interest in making data fusion between us and digital. For the outdoor, yeah, this. Look at the closest experience, Russia. They do geo-targeting, MTS and Yandex. Every board shows the info you are interested in. This is the future of the outdoor. We have Dovira provider, you know, this big player in the outdoor. And then I have to learn a lot of things. So the digital, I'm calling that board selling. No, boards, when the outdoor digresses from board selling, the matching era will come in. And when do you think it'll happen? Within 5 years. And what is the share of TV against boards? Within the nearest 5 years, it'll be 50-50. The market is now getting ready for this transformation leap. Could you describe that leap, when it's going to happen, where? Instead of boards, you'll have high tech helping register the data, read the data, and next story is cameras, AI, recognition of affinitive audience. Well, ask them whether they are. I am a pregnant woman living in Poland, according to Google. I don't know how comes they identify me like that. Is it true? Of course it is, because Google never lies. Glove or alcohol? No. Oh, food. Well, I've been properly identified, and they were wrong identifying me, and that's why I say the best gift is top 50 useful links. Now, trying to answer Andrey's question, this is gonna be content selling what someone really needs. Let's not talk about OTT services, outdoor TV, who's longer, who's better, who's got 102 centimeters rather than 95. And we should understand that it's not GRP seconds, BPC, OTT we sell, but business solutions. As soon as the solutions we sell become effective, our business will start growing. So we in FSMG market, you can sell toilet tissue via TV because everybody's gonna shit. Oh, millions of people will defecate as they used to. Speaking in Polish, so answering your question whether we need a TV for FMCG, yes. Microloans, definitely. So how many people work with microloans? Again, this is the audience commuting, watching sports. That's the core of an economically active audience. We have to offer effective solutions for the industry. Ads are here to help business find solutions to their issues.
Сказать, что все равно есть рекламный медиа-пирог, да? У компаний, которые работают на рынке, есть 100% бюджета.
By name that is circulating in the market, we can say that the money is in the market, but the way it's to be allocated will depend on ports, on channels of communication. Let's see how the changes in the law on casino has modified the way, for instance, such areas as airlines has started to live. For instance, let's take into account changes at Boryspil Airport and the infrastructure around it. Let's look into the leaders in new formats. Let's analyze the requests which emerge in new areas, and let's see how the connection between the National Security Council of Ukraine and pharmacy works it out. And you know, there was an announcement a few months ago that without prescription, medicine will not be sold. Valery, will you comment on the issues that I raised? Primarily, I would like to add a little nuance to what you said. We do not resolve needs of clients. We are not structural units of our customers. We give them access to our target audience. What they do afterwards with that is the ultimate problem, is the problem that they are alone to settle down. Well, we do not say here that we can do it all by ourselves. We have a financial company in our hands, and we have an owner, and let's say following his commandment or command, we can resolve business tasks, and others can have access to our target audience, can get it, and they will themselves decide what they're going to do about our target audiences. What are expectations around pharmacy? It is the third world. For some groups, let's say the aged, others who have some preferences. This group appears to be more substantial, 70% of all the money raised, and in our group, in contrast to that, that is represented with the young, making 23%. We will have marketing as the area of concern, but that will also involve lots of money. When we decided to pitch marketing, then we explored what happens with promotion of wine, pharmacy, and other commodities. There was once a decision to stop TV broadcasting on Sunday, since for 2 days, for instance. That will not suffice to stop TV broadcasting, since the situation will be identical if drugstores will stop functioning for 2 days, for instance. Following the current legislation, we are not empowered to promote medication without prescription. We need to sell everything what's on prescription. And they say that in times of crunch and health problems, the crowd will buy it all, no matter what the laws will be, and what the requirement will be, meaning to buy medication with prescription or not. Speaking about crazy situation that has been shaped around this segment, I would like to say that there are advertising campaigns around some cosmetics, and let's assume that some cosmetics has been widely recognized. Let's conventionally call it Urahol, that helps kidneys and uterus, and you will never be able to find a doctor who will say that there is some universal panacea against it all, some universal medication that will help to cure any illness. Speaking about ban on alcoholic spirits and casino and gambling, there is a need of advance restrictions, not to raise any extra requests. I guess that now industry will suffer from no pharmacy. I do believe that the National Security Council and pharmacy will agree on how they are going to co-function. Apart from pharma and Batinum, what are the medications or stars which you never could see on TV? How will you define role models that will be determinants in the market development? For the market leaders, I should say that some categories of role models will exist for some time. Take, for instance, mobile telecommunications operators in mobile telecommunications. So they belong to some market or segment or niche where they have their own owner. Let's say strong spirits due to the conjuncture of the market around it, where the market needed to migrate into some gray area, where the spirit manufacturers, having, let's assume, 70% of the market, have cut their participation in the market, and e-commerce has grown as well in microloans. That also stimulated the development of the banking sector, and the banking sector also reinvigorated, and I can say that they can come up with better offers and bids and on the same terms. And again, speaking about the car industry, for the most recent 2 years, we have again, 3-4 leading manufacturers which have been recognized. For understanding of market, there is a market of confectionaries, producers, let's say confectionaries everywhere in this country have adopted domestic restrictions. Let's take conventionally that you have a family business where mom produces some confectionery and she goes to a TV channel and promotes for kids some cakes. It's a competition against AVK, one of leaders in the confectionaries. But again, if you go to the local TV broadcast company and you do such an advertising campaign, no big deal. But speaking about the risk, when you could, it's a candy produced in your let's say region, then there is a risk that he will suffer some sugar, will have some again adverse effect on his teeth. What will be done about that? Here, for instance, the problem can be that anti-monopoly committee will look into this issue. And speaking about pie chart in the market segmentation, will you be able to comment on that? For pie segmentation, I would like to say that the project that we came up with was indeed very interesting. No matter that in our media segment we have tens of millions monthly of newcomers, there is an understanding that the top products enjoy their fans, the top ties among the elite, and there is an understanding that without that we will not be able to build up proper business without proper campaigns, without convincing the target audience that there will be no life without it. And we need to convince an advertising company that there is a possibility to place content of 21 plus, not only by capacity of TV channel, but also by target audience and by all, let's say Valeria, for instance, can do this 21 plus at 22, let's say 10 p.m. where by age you can close access to this or that video. It's for one thing. For another thing, what's interesting is that we have a novelty by segment, meaning by type of what you do. Well, not big segments, not to afford themselves expensive produce. We have online casinos. That's a sort of a renaissance in the gambling sphere. They face some domestic restrictions, as Valeria has mentioned that before, and they have imposed internal restrictions. And the demand is indeed very high. Juka acquired this business from us, and after 11 p.m. everything is fine, access is given to proper target audience. Again, for the third thing, we have possibility to place icons. We can choose categories, type of content, and make that branded placement without any direct call for smoking. In the media services, we have broad opportunities. We are not limited in time, having 24 per diem, and we can allocate that for some products and for some tailor-made requests for the advertisers among the Megogo. What is to be done about them? Budget of lower than 100,000 hryvnia will be hard to accept, since otherwise it will be very difficult to do that. There's a difference between us and the digital world. Conventionally, Google or Instagram can work with $5 per week. For targeting, $5 per week, well, it will not suffice. $100 per week, that's some budget at least to play with. For a campaign, let's allegedly take it for granted that $100 will be okay, just fine. when you have budget exceeding $3 million, that can turn out to be wasted money. And very good budget, that's where you have some budget exceeding $3 million. Sergey, my understanding is that you work with lower budgets. Let's take a haircut made at Polytech Institute Metro that costs 1,000 Ukrainian hryvnia. That's some level. And speaking about result-oriented at some locality in some local district or region or at some local platform, again, will be restricted with the coverage area, but the budget there will be approximately 100,000 Ukrainian hryvnia. When you have a university and a cafe nearby where you can have a discount of one additional coffee cup when you buy yourself a coffee, then that's interesting. You will have big incoming audience, I should say. Well, you know, I'm former military. I say that you are very well disciplined and you will have a very good understanding if you ask me about how to structure the studies. And speaking about clusters, how will we approach that? On television, 320 million of target audience. That's our gain so far. Who is that happy guy? We are indeed very interested in having him personally. 700. I guess that will be, you know, a benchmark for the top 100. Speaking about a rough estimate, a few million. Funneled 300 so far yet. Lira is slightly shy, and in Russia, advertising gains nearly are equal to subscription budgets. In Ukraine, most probably, the latter budget will be higher. Go has a number of options. Primarily, we have free of charge videos. You can go online. Primarily, you can watch 2-3 videos from the very start, and then you will enjoy the film. The budget there might not be that high, since there is a chance to categorize the producer and offer. The second thing is monetization of subscription. When you close a subscription, then you have catalogs of films, then types of them to look into. And there's a system where you can have piece purchase. When somebody will say that some content can be offered for per piece transactions, sales. Cruella quite recently was up on TV, and when you didn't manage to see it in a cinema, that's one thing, but online you will never miss it if you buy online subscription. One of my favorite scenes is when there is question regarding the difference of GRP and GDRP, and it was a long time ago for one thing, but I'll never believe it, the lady says. But speaking about this who are unaware of the difference, are not that well educated. The market is broad, and most probably quite a lot of them lagging behind. Apart from selling partnership packages, when you watch some video using advertising budget where everything functions within quality labyrinth, well, That's interesting. Sergey, your input. Each hen has a currency. And this means that Valery, while naming 320, we got some statistically good client, 2 million Ukrainian hryvnia. Speaking about some quantum of time, well, when you split 320 by 10 or 15, you have 32 million. Well, I said that it is 10 times lower. Figures are approximate. We have a secret speaker. I would like to know if he watches us remotely. This all reminds me sort of Santa Claus's call. Vita, let's call him now. And in a similar scenario, you can call Santa Claus. Let's call Santa Claus. Victor, here you are eventually. Are you with us? His appearance is like, some festivity for us, sort of present, a sort of another birthday party to celebrate. Now I would like to share what I wanted to say to our creative directors, since this is a forum of creative directors, and we have foundation of Darina Zholdan that will celebrate its 10-year anniversary. And this year we thought of our goals for upcoming 10 years, and there was an understanding that we would like to support talented teens. There is an impression that whenever it goes about creative industries, big part of the Ukrainian uniqueness belongs to its talent as a nation. For instance, in Poland, you will enjoy respect, but talents will never show themselves, or if not supported there. Kontar, that was a campaign that we started, and we did it to promote awareness campaigns among the young and others, to illustrate what is important and what is interesting for the young. And now I would like to share with you what's indeed interesting. Global context present exciting insights. It's not an envelope that might impress you as that interesting. This is a catalyzer where there will be, sort of step-by-step chain when Valeria, for instance, kicks off with some bright, successful project, then a string of other emerging projects will appear soon. And the same is about similar structures. So some structure can...
So, if we think future, it is created by the younger generation creative industries. However, something that the pandemic's exposed pretty visibly, people working in the creative industries perceive themselves to be protected weaker than in traditional industries. Freelancers work for themselves. Smaller production studios, creators feel at risk, insecure. Now, we thought what the situation was in Ukraine. We did qualitative stage, then focus groups involving the adolescents in order to understand the hypothesis, the vocabulary they use, and then went on to survey 400 adolescents and several thousand other respondents, adults, asking them questions about the creative industry. Since this was part of our social mission, I'm ready to share the entire file that came out of this research, and you might find this interesting. So what's the current state of affairs, the status quo? What are the findings, the conclusions? The biggest challenge for the inbound decade is that the adolescents find it difficult to find answer to the question whether they are gifted, whether they're talented. Unless I am mistaken, we'll see the figure later. About a third of the respondents believed that they were not gifted, that they would not be able to create something new and were not able to be unique. Within our research, let your dream come true. 94% of kids didn't have a dream. 92% said that they didn't have any dreams, and we might be more on the optimistic side, but when we discuss theory, then you'd find that people in theory would love to work in creative industry, but in practice, parents and kids say, yes, in theory this would be cool, but most likely I'll find something less intangible. If they say that's important to realize your talent, they are sure that this should be tried outside of Ukraine. Over 50% of our respondents said that they were gifted. 47, well, I am starting to diverge. 47 talented and 53 not. An important segment that we were able to identify. We see the red line stands for those who believe that they were talented, and the black one who thought they were not talented. The difference being the support they perceived they were getting, and the parents were a factor. If parents tell their kids that they are talented, kids start to believe that and act accordingly. Unfortunately, in at least a third of cases, they never get this type of support, and nobody tells them that they are. The outside evaluation for the teenagers is paramount, more important than their self-evaluation. 70% were sure that it is best to try and realize, fulfill yourself abroad. That is to say, only 30% believed in Ukraine. For us, this is the slide define our goal. It would be great if in 10 years from now, 70% of the teenagers could say that Ukraine would fit the bill. Now, the challenge is identified. Financial ones come on top when we ask people why they didn't pursue their talents. They would answer that they didn't have money. Didn't have money to buy some supplies and start some sort of training. Content you tend to see on TV or digital platforms offers lots of opportunities, but we cannot ignore this challenge. And one of the projects we're going to launch would be personal scholarships given to those who want to buy supplies and tools to help them fulfill themselves. Another challenge relates to the parents. We think it is easy, but it's an insurmountable barrier when you lack self-confidence and feel lack of support from your parents. This is something that compromises your future development. The bud will never come to flowering. Another challenge identified by the respondents was the lack of self-discipline. The guys who said they believed they were talented, that would like to pursue a career in creative, said, yes, but I tend to procrastinate. I prefer entertainment, not the content. Why entertainment is stupid? No, they just couldn't make themselves do something, pursue something. The fourth challenge or issue is a lack of understanding of what one needs to do to fulfill. When we often use roadmap. First I do this, following that I do this. So it's stages will eventually bring me to success. Well, children can choose their parents, and parents who want to help gifted kid of theirs often fail to understand the requirements of modern-day digital industries. Look, how many special a lot of special terms we use during this discussion. So when they hear PCL, PPPC, think, okay, I would rather pursue a career in the government. And yet another constraint is the time you need to grow. 80% want to grow their talent and fulfill them, but they don't know how to do that. 12% have to be persuaded, and 8 remaining percent were deaf to all the encouragements. In theory, when we speak about dreams, every third teenager responding to our surveys said they wouldn't mind working in the creative, and 77% of the parents said that they would be happy if they saw their kids pursue such careers. What activities are we planning in order to change the situation, to overhaul it? And so far as we decided on a 10-year horizon, we think in simple terms. We want to make people understand that talents are as much national wealth as ores, wheat, or other tangible things, and that's something that we have to develop. And the Creative Industries Forum is one of the avenues. Every kid, and we believe it to be our mission, should understand the depth of their talent, understand how this can be put to use, and how you can pursue a career in creative industries, making living for themselves and their kids. Talentopedia, another project that gives me jitters. What is it? Talentopedia is an encyclopedia of creative occupations, something that we are doing for the teenagers and, as importantly, for their parents, so that a person 12, 13 years old or even younger starts asking questions what they would like to be. They could use this menu, click on TV, and see that TV is made of a bunch of different occupations: content creators, editors, etc. If you want to see the difference between different occupations, go to Talentopedia. You could use it in order to familiarize with the success stories of those who became successful in this country or elsewhere in the world. If you want to know the answer to a simple question, how much do people make who pursue this occupation? A trivial question that is left without answers. What requirements should I expect of my employer in 5 years and 10 years from now to be able to apply for entry-level job? What are opportunities for... So, encyclopedia is big and hefty, but this is a digital age. It's MVP age. Marichka Artemenko, could I please introduce you? Marichka and her team is the one who conceived this project. Let me just raise, so like a volunteer hackathon. You have a minute to give the story of 180 volunteers. Thanks for... we start from a volunteer challenge and invite you to join. This looks like the only way we can complete it this year. We have 180 volunteers who've registered to date. In excess of 170. We have teams of counselors, analysts, and copywriters are going to research and then describe professions for the Talentopedia. We are looking forward to a month of a very tough work. We have a big organizational structure showing who interacts with whom, and we are going to provide 24/7 support to the volunteers. You can register. We start September the 25th. It's gonna be warmer, much warmer, because we are starting down there at the arena. You'll meet our chief counselors, analysts, copywriters. So come November, we're gonna launch it. I know we will, and we'll be able to have first entries. It's a massive project that can only be completed through concerted effort of many creators. You'll have the honor of being a co-creator of the first encyclopedia of this description. It can even be a figure as part of your portfolio, your CV that you'll be able to use in your professional life. So please join. Scan the QR code, and those who have done that by 25th of this month will be heartily welcome down here. Whenever we speak about volunteers, we know that we are talking about people who volunteered to contribute to content creation. When I was a teenager, I started as a stringer and for business media. I would address business leaders, directors, and ask them questions, interviewed them, asking questions that I thought were interesting for me. Aspiring to learn as much about business as I could. So we believe that we would also have creative industry companies able to describe not just an abstract occupation, but speak specifically. This is gonna be free online service, and I do hope that it'll grow. We are even thinking of making it one day available in English, so that Ukraine-generated product could inspire creative personalities all around the world. I hope we'll have various multiple collaborators, and if you feel like you are interested, address Marichka. We have another 15 minutes, and let me ask you if we can hope to ask a couple of questions of Victor, Megapolis Development Director. Could we have him on screen? Victor, hi. Can you copy us? Hello? Can you copy me? Yes, I think we can. Could you please tell our audience about new developments in your business, and specifically what new trends can you discern in the industry that would define the development of your company? Hi, I can only promise that next week I'm gonna bring warmer weather. I know that it's pretty chilly in Kiev, 6 to 8 above, but come next week the temperature will be as high as 17 degrees. Go right down to our question. Industry trends, what are they? What can we expect in transit, outdoor, TV, OTT services, where Sergey, I could hear, was discussing coverage, mentioning 10, 12, 20 million, 8 million. So what's essential in the outdoors? Well, outdoors is a media that you cannot switch from. We are now mounting new formats on the subway, airports. All those video formats open new opportunities. They also allow swift change of content. They help regulate the mileage, 10, 5 seconds, etc. Formats, well, the role of major urban settlements is growing, paying audiences, and very high pace of life. Transit and outdoors allow to support not just the coverage, but contact frequency. In subway, we can aim at 16 hits a month. This means that we can carry our messages through in no time and explain the message to the audience, speeding up their decisions. And new audiences that appear, new opportunities. Sergey mentioned big data and mobile communication providers like Vodafone and Kyivstar. We hoping that we'll soon be able to offer a new solution suggested for subways, and we will be offering big database solutions to our clients at the initiation and completion of projects. And yeah, finish your thought. The major trend is that outdoors going online. Sergey, non-standards like airport, advertising, public transit, paint. We are toxic. We put Oracle on public transit boards, but we'd like to get less toxic. You know, we generate heaps of waste, paper, Oracle, film, glue, etc. We want to become digital, to be environment friendly, monitors, TV formats. We call TV for those who aren't at home. My dream vision is to have a non-toxic market, because it really pains me to know how much waste we generate, toxic waste we generate. Thanks a bunch, Victor, for joining us from where you are spending your holiday. Enjoy the rest of it. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Now, what I wanted to do is to give our panelists time to make some concluding remarks, and then wrap it up. Valery, traditionally, let's start from you. Oh, I'm always the first and the last. As an industry, we're looking into the 3 years to come with a degree of optimism. TV viewership is receding slightly. 17% of households in Ukraine don't have TVs, though they still consume TV content, and that's a global trend. But this is not the scariest of things. If you do something to offer content to those who spend time outside of their homes, you are in the luck. We foresee lack of inventory. Lack of inventory, let me explain it to the audience, is when you have more companies wishing to be advertised, when there is inventory that accommodate their wishes. Many advertisers roll out their activities towards traditional media, linear TV, which has been the engine behind other media. And the reason is clear. Inflation and on TV media is higher than on TV. It's again a global trend. Inflation for TV content contact is lower than contact using other media. ROIs make media companies review their TV splits. There are cases starting from Pepsi to Jacobs and others, Colgate, for one, when people grow their TV presence for a very simple reason. If you impose limitations on audience like no kids, you end up having 70% viewer. Colgate then says we can't launch new flavor of our dental cream. Well, plus pirated content, you know, that this is still an acute problem. And then you have some behavioral and gender limitations. So you don't have the audience you expected, and it's very difficult to launch anything. Therefore, demand for the resources is unpredictably high. Next year, Rejoice non-TV assets will start from 25 to 30% inflation rate because the previous 2 years were inflation-free practically. And it all adds up to the reduction of inventory, aging of the audience. It's an open secret that the average population is growing older, and this affects TV. Not only pharma, but other advertisers take at younger audiences who consume content via OTT, mobile devices, or only start viewing alongside Voice or X Factor. And this affects resources. Yes, there were times when TV was more expensive than internet. Now, if you estimate the cost of contact, you'll see that TV is again lagging behind in terms of cost. We understand that an increase may make other companies once again decide in favor of non-TV assets, but we still have to be aware that in the past 12 years, the share of TV in the media pie is as high as it was 4 years ago, 48 versus 51% today. So things isn't as bad as they may seem to be. We are looking at an increase of the audience because it's a new market, and we already mentioned VOD catalogs with virtual or unlimited opportunities. The ones you can add, documentaries, classical blockbusters, own production. We 1+1 made some initial attempts, quite successful at that. we're also expanding audience, not only due to sports, but also by incorporating blog content, and we are now doing our own blogger channels where you can have audiences as big as in some major national channels. One of the key viewing channels is Smart TV. You know that the product tends to get less expensive. You can get yourself an affordable smart TV for your household when indeed TVs will make their way back to the households. The creative platform we did jointly with Fedoriv shows that you can enjoy content ubiquitously, and it's even more important if you consume sports content. We also expect growth attributable to quality. Valeria mentioned piracy. Piracy is an issue that stands in everyone's way today. How do we think we can defeat it, in addition to taking some regulatory steps that are not very efficient? As quality, if you offer 4K quality or 5.1 sound is something you won't find in pirated sites. I hope that our advertising budgets will also be growing thanks to targeting and thanks to the fact that entry is lower than in other media groups or major outdoor ad companies. Just a small illustration to show how the TV market has been developing. We, myself and Yaroslava, sometimes watch YouTube together, and we have a favorite channel there. So when I head home last night, I asked her whether she had seen this vid, and she said, yes, I was coming home, I started watching. We fired the big screen, watched for half hour, and half asleep said, okay, let's hit the sack. When I was already in bed, I fired my tablet, and we kept watching for another 10 minutes. So two persons were watching the same vid using two different devices.
In the beginning of our panel discussion, I would like to say that it's a rare chance, and thank you very much for an opportunity to speak up. Such things like we have today make us all big people. I didn't know before Valeria said it that I myself belong to that exclusive group of 20% that Valeria has just described. Well, the winter will be long following the things or the things that we can say from around us. And you and Valeria said very right things, and I will support you entirely in that. Valeria also made very remarkable exclamation saying that what I see will be recommended for others to observe as well. And what I see today is what my team expects in 2022 and until the end of this year as well. Following the surveys for transitory advertising, we make an attempt. We're looking for a culture of transitory advertising, not to contrast TV or due to service. Our ambition as an auto service is to set up a conglomerate of split solutions for business. And our nearest solution is what Andrei comes up with. And a little commentary, short commentary on what Andrei said. I would like to see something, I'd like to know properly what my company will be to watch this or that scene, and the way I want it to have is also my choice, and I want to be confident that this choice will be made. And in the eyes of consumers and in the eyes of TV viewers, there is a prospect of some ecosystem that will replace the current TV system. The same can be observed around the US, where you have approximately 3,000-4,000 of subscribers. And speaking about 1/3 of companies where they have such sort of platforms, the necessity in that, and nobody will let me lie that at some level they have some promotion of topical narrow TV channels by interest, and this who are on travel, let's say conventionally, some comedian 95th quarter or Svаты TV channel. Our mothers-in-law, fathers-in-law, that is translated that way. All of these TV channels are popularized across broad target audiences, and our TV viewers would like to follow the recommendation of some TV channels directors to watch what's on agenda, to be able to choose what they would like to see in some at some hour, for instance, at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, etc. If you have initially 5 full scenarios, and if you have some platform like Netflix, for instance, or if there is such a development where TV groups are regrouped and where there is a compromise, like Megogo in Ukraine, and I know why Lera is shy telling more about Megogo, and most probably in the United States you will never have Beeline or some other source, so they will come up with a library or whatever. And there is also on the way some talk around Discovery or some other TV channels. You will never be able to find a proper platform that will give you universal access to each and every option. There will be conglomeration among all of them. Key platforms can be classified as ownership of key groups of power everywhere globally. And a little remark, Andrei, I will agree to you absolutely. If we carry out some survey regarding the number of hours a family spends to find the proper content channel on a Megogo, for instance, I have a choice of things to see, for instance, Megogo's catalog, etc. And for that, I would like to give you a summary of our discussion and to extend my gratitude to all our participants that you found your precious time that is of high value, and thank you very much that you were cold resistant. Thanks to everyone, and thank you that you were with us, and that was a success. And one little notice. Technological disruption is coming. Technologies will transform it all. Outdoor advertising has this today, while other advertising channels will have other things to consider. Well, pictures will change, but consumers remain absolutely loyal to themselves, wishing to be and to choose, following their wishes. Choose whatever, and thank you for being with us, and we in our turn will create new ideas for you to enjoy.